newsmakers.
City
News.
It's midday. Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the City Prime News, coming to you live from our studio in Accra. I am Ejubi Biafe Akentin. Coming up, pressure mounts on Achimota Zoom Park transfer station just 2 weeks after its reopening as the facility struggles to handle hundreds of refuse-laden tricycles.
So we are calling on the government and the local government to come and support so that we will be able to receive more of the Boboya people coming here, and also we'll be able to eradicate.
Also coming up, Ketu South Nadmo begins registering residents affected by severe flooding triggered by torrential rains and inflow of excess water from neighboring Togo.
So far, we are finding solution to it. At some places, there should be a drain near some points so that it can store a lot of water. So we are engaging the communities. We are going around, taking our data, capturing the areas affected.
Still ahead in this bulletin, Ghana Education Service suspends the salary of Bole Senior High School teacher accused of inappropriate sexual conduct with a student.
We have taken the steps to stop his salary. We interdicted him first, and we had to take the step to stop his salary, and now we are pursuing him.
And later, President John Dramani Mahama urges Ghanaians to embrace integrity and accountability to sustain economic growth as the nation marks the National Day of Prayer and Thanksgiving.
Our economic recovery has been built upon discipline. It must now be sustained by integrity. It must be protected by justice, and it must be strengthened by our national unity.
Stay with us. We have the details of these stories and more coming up in the next half hour.
City Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
Grateful you could join us this afternoon. Let's settle for the details of our stories now. The Ghana Institution of Engineering has attributed the severity of Monday's flooding to decades of poor planning, weak enforcement, and a drainage system built to fail. The institution is therefore renewing its urgent call for government action before the next downpour strikes. City News' Samuel Attah-Mensah has more in this report.
The Ghana Institution of Engineering, GHIE, says the flooding that hit the capital the 29th of June was not a freak of nature, but the result of decades of failure in how the city is planned, built and maintained. In a position statement issued the following day, the institution offered its condolences to families who lost homes and livelihoods and thanked NADMO, the fire service, security agencies and ordinary citizens who helped rescue neighbors from the rising water. But the statement was blunt, pretending this was simply bad weather. GHIE says cost lives. According to the institution, Accra is now so fragile that as little as 30 millimeters of rain can flood large part of the city, and June routinely brings 3 to 5 times that amount. GHIE's position is that when a city drowns at 30 millimeters, the problem is no longer the sky. The problem is us. The engineers point to 5 compounding failures behind the disaster. 1. Decades of poor planning, with homes and roads built over the wetlands that once absorbed rainwater. 2. Drains choked with waste, worsened by breakdowns in household refuse collection that push rubbish straight into the gutters. 3. Failed road drainage, with broken or undersized culverts turning roads like the N1, the Kaswa Stretch and the Tetekwashi underpass into flood zones year after year. 4. Structures built directly on waterways and walkways blocking the water's natural path. And 5. A drainage system designed only to rush water downstream as fast as possible with almost no capacity to hold and slowly release it. GHIE says Ghana does not lack the laws to prevent this. What is missing, the institution says, is the will to enforce them and a citizenry taught why those laws exist. The group is renewing its call for the reinstatement of civic education in schools, markets and communities alongside consistent enforcement of planning and sanitation bylaws. Notably, GHIE revealed it submitted a detailed policy brief to the Ministry of Works, Housing and Water Resources 5 weeks before this flood, titled Transforming Urban Stormwater Management in Ghana. The recommendations released this week, according to the institution, are drawn directly from that brief. The institution laid out a 3-phase response. It says, in the next 72 hours, continued rescue operations, power shutdowns in flooded zones to prevent electrocution, clearing of drainage choke points including the Odo and Kole system, and public safety messaging. Over the next 6 to 18 months, an independent review of the Kole Lagoon restoration works, restoration of reliable waste collection, a national runoff control policy for new buildings, and a halt to construction on waterways and wetlands. And over 3 to 5 years, it says, a fundamental shift in Ghana's approach to drainage is needed. Catching and slowing water instead of rushing it downstream, mandatory rainwater harvesting, and dedicated funding for long-term maintenance is needed. GHIE says Ghana has stood at this point before, after the flood of June 2015, and after 2020, and after flooding earlier this same June. Each time, the institution says the country mourns, promises change, and moves on until the next rain falls. The institution says it stands ready to work with government to turn its recommendations into drains that work and lives that are protected.
Citi News' Samuel confirmed that reports. Now moving on, calls are mounting for punitive action against district assemblies and managers of the Greater Accra Resilient and Integrated Development Garrett project as repeated flooding in the capital raises questions over the effectiveness of years of public and donor-funded intervention. Speaking to Citi News on the sidelines of the launch of his book, The Last Dig in Accra, environmental and impact assessment analyst Yao Osei argued that responsibility for the crisis must extend beyond central government to local authorities and project implementers.
Garrett was conceived mainly to tackle floods. So the question we have to ask those concerned is what has happened with Garrett and with all the monies sunk into those projects and in the studies. Why are we still having floods of such magnitude? People must be answerable for that. So we must understand this and then direct questions to the appropriate places. And again, it comes to the question of the role of the district assemblies. Because if the assemblies were really performing, they must answer. They must work towards avoiding flooding in their areas. See, but we have all agreed that the district assemblies are non-performing. And so we have all these environmental challenges.
That was environmental and impact assessment analyst Yao Osei. Now, the National Disaster Management Organization in the Ketu South municipality of the Volta region has begun registering residents affected by severe flooding. The floods triggered by torrential rains and the inflow of excess water from neighboring Togo have displaced thousands of residents and caused widespread destruction. Speaking to Citi News, the Ketu South NADMO Director Ferguson Aholu said the organization is collecting the data to guide the next course of action.
Ketu South, there's a lot of flooding issues in Ketu South. We have a lot of communities in Ketu South that are being flooded. At our area in Aplau, we share boundaries with Togo. So all the Aplau situations is linked to the flow from Togo, especially Lete Hute. So if Togo is having dam all over, so if their dam is full, then they allow it to flow. So let's say Agbawema, Jota, Clay, and Dema de Copper, we have a lot of flooding situation there. It has been a result of the flowing from Togo. But other areas in Ketu South like Viepa, Apakutima, Tessie, and then the enclave of Bozuma. Some of them are having low lying areas, so those places are being flooded. We are gathering the data from the various communities. So far, we are finding solution to it. At some places, there should be a dredging at some points so that it can store a lot of water. So we are engaging the communities. We are going around, taking our data, capturing the areas affected.
Ferguson Aholu is the Ketu South NADMO director. Now, stakeholders in the Upper East region are calling for urgent action to address the recurring destruction caused by the annual spillage of the Bagre Dam, which continues to destroy farmlands, properties, and claim lives. Speaking after a working group session on the second day of the Upper East Regional Development and Business Forum in Bolgatanga, participants urged government to implement lasting measures to tackle the challenge. Speaking to Citi News, environmental scientist at the University of Technology and Applied Sciences, Dr. Raymond Attah-Mensah called for stronger cross-border cooperation to ensure the compensation provisions under the Volta Basin Authority's charter are enforced.
One thing we need to notice that in terms of climate change, things like flooding doesn't know borders. They don't know Burkina Faso, they don't know Ghana. Whatever effects that come affects all of us. So already the Volta Basin Authority has a charter, and that charter has made provisions for compensation for communities that are affected by any member of the charter activities. So by spilling water to Ghana, Ghanaians, communities who are affected by that, has a right within that charter to ask for compensation. The reality is that over the years, no community or no authority in Ghana has asked for that compensation or support from the Burkina Faso authorities regarding compensation or assistance for affected communities for the harm that they caused in Ghana.
Dr. Raymond Attah-Mensah is an environmental scientist at the University of Technology and Applied Sciences. Let's do some stories on waste management and sanitation. And pressure is mounting on the Achimota Zoom Park transfer station just 2 weeks after it reopened to receive hundreds of refuse-laden tricycles. The facility was reopened to help address Accra's recent sanitation disposal crisis. However, the increasing volume of waste has overwhelmed the station, prompting waste transport operators and Zoom Park to call for urgent intervention. Speaking to Citi News, waste transporter Michael Jackson described the situation as frustrating.
Ya lolo bola no ficha no pa na ya begina na sebio ebi no hweko na line no de wo hokra do so chen de ya hweko wadi ase.
We've been here since morning. Some tricycles have been able to dispose of their contents, but a lot of us are yet to. About 700 tricycles have lined up waiting for their turn. We are pleading with the government because Zoomlion cannot do this single-handedly. We used to dispose of refuse at McCarthy dump sites, but we are unable to do that now because of the heavy rain.
First, they call McCarthy down.
I say, I buy it me bum because if you much, I say, Abubu Yafono, your fat ball and I do na. Oh, great Accra.
Government has to help us because the tricycle operators absorb a greater part of Accra's refuse. We need a nearby place to dump the refuse rather than moving from far places such as Odoko to Achimota. We are hoping that every district even gets a dump site.
Now found far away. Now the cost short distance.
You heard some waste transport operators reacting to the situation at the Achimota Zoom Park transfer station. Reacting to the congestion, Head of Operations and Engineering at Zoom Park appealed to government to urgently support the facility by helping to cover its operational costs as it struggles to manage the increased demand.
Operating a landfill is very expensive. Operating transfer station is very expensive, even though it finds itself in the city or in the town where the waste is intersected before it takes to the appropriate disposable site or to Accra Compost and Recycle plant. But without the support of the government, this facility becomes very difficult for it to operate now. As you can see, many of Aboboya people coming here pay something that I can, just a token of 50 Ghana cedi. 50 Ghana cedi is not even enough for you to break even, even when we have the number of people coming here. So we are calling on the government and the local government to come and support so that we will be able to receive more of the Boboya people coming here, and also will be able to eradicate the support. The government should come in and also support in terms of paying parts of the running costs or part of the operational costs.
That was Head of Operations and Engineering at Zoom Park, Derek Mita. Meanwhile, the Environmental Services Providers Association, ESPA, has called on the government to adopt a comprehensive approach to waste management.
As a nation, we now need to approach this whole flooding situation holistically. Looking at the engineering problem, which is one, we need to have a structured city, a planned city for that matter. And we can no longer continue doing the knee-jerk solution, thinking that we'll have solutions. No, it's not going to help us. We need to now have our engineers in place, our town and county planners, to ensure that we have the appropriate infrastructure in place. In addition to all that, our waste management also need to be addressed holistically, looking at structures, looking at facilities, and going forward, I would plead with the government when it comes to waste management, just as we eat daily and move around daily, it's the same way with waste management. So we have to be doing the public cleansing on daily basis.
That was the Executive Secretary of the Environmental Services Providers Association, Ama Oforiwa Entry. You're still listening to the Citi Prime News. Still ahead, Ghana Education Service suspends the salary of Bole senior high school teacher accused of inappropriate sexual conduct with a student. Stay with us to take a quick breather and bring you the details of those stories and more shortly.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
You're welcome back to the Citi Prime News. Many thanks for staying with us. The Citi Prime News is live across the globe on citynewsroom.com, and around the country we're live on a number of affiliate stations. In the Western region, we're live on Premier 100.5 FM, Beach 105.5 FM, and Sky Power 93.5 FM, all intercrad. In the Buna region, you can tune in to J Live 95.5 FM in Sunyani. In the Ashanti region, we're live on Orange 107.9 FM in Kumasi. In the Volta region, we're live on Global 105.1 FM in Ho and Adanu 107.7 FM in Adakluwaya. In the northern region, tune in to Diamond 93.7 FM in Tamale. In the Upper West region, we're live on Westlink 88.1 FM in Laura and Pupeli 92.7 FM in Wa. In the Upper East region, we're live on Source 100.1 FM in Boko and Pure 100.5 FM in Navrongo. In the northeast region, you can tune in to Scarp 101.3 FM in Nampanduri. Now to some more stories. The Ghana Education Service, GES, has halted the payment of salary to the Bole senior high school teacher accused of inappropriate sexual conduct with a student. The service says the teacher has absconded from duty following the incident. Speaking to the media, the Director General of GES, Professor N.S. Kofi Davis, warned teachers against such misconduct, stressing that offenders will face the full rigors of the law as well as disciplinary sanctions.
Our understanding is that he has absconded. So we have proceeded to stop his salary. Yesterday, his salary was stopped, and we are depending on the police to apprehend him so that we take him through the process. We want to pursue legal action against the staff involved, and also take him through our established processes, the code of conduct, so that at the end of the day, we apply the rules as stipulated in our code of conduct. We will apply the toughest sanction to serve as deterrent, because we want our school environment to be safe, and teachers who expose children the way we saw in the video do not have place at GS. So we have taken the steps to stop his salary. We interdicted him first, and we had to take the step to stop his salary. And now we are pursuing him.
You heard Director General of the Ghana Education Service, Professor Ernest Kofi Davis. The Ministry of Education has reaffirmed its commitment to eliminating learning poverty and reducing inequalities in schools. The ministry says improving learning outcomes remains central to the government's education agenda. Speaking at the launch of the National Schools Awards, Deputy Minister Dr. Clement Attah-Mensah said the government's focus is shifting from enrollment to quality learning to ensure every child acquires the skills needed for national development.
The government remains firmly committed to eliminating learning poverty, narrowing inequalities in educational opportunities, and ensuring that quality education is not determined by geography, social and economic background, or circumstance. Our focus as a government is therefore shifting decisively from enrollment to learning, from participation to achievement, and from effort to measurable outcomes. In pursuit of this goal, the Ministry of Education under Harun Idrisu continues to implement reforms aimed at strengthening instructional leadership, improving school governance, enhancing equity and inclusion, and promoting evidence-based decision-making across Ghana's educational sector.
Dr. Attah-Mensah added that the National Schools Award will promote accountability, continuous improvement, and excellence in schools nationwide.
The success of the National Schools Awards will depend on our collective determination to make continuous improvement a defining feature of our nation's education system. From where we sit, we should envision a future where data informs decision-making. Together, we can create schools where excellence is inspired. Together, we can strengthen accountability. Together, we can improve learning outcomes. And together, we can build the future that Ghana truly needs and deserves. On behalf of the Minister for Education, Harun Idrisu, it is now my unique and singular honor to officially declare the National Schools Awards Gallup Edition duly launched.
You heard Deputy Education Minister Dr. Clement Attah-Mensah. Well, today marks the second edition of the National Day of Prayer and Thanksgiving, and President John Dramani Mahama has called on Ghanaians to embrace integrity, honesty, and accountability to sustain the country's economic growth. According to him, Ghana's progress depends not only on sound economic policies, but also on the values and conduct of its citizens across the public and private sectors.
Economic transformation without moral transformation cannot endure. Prosperity without integrity is fragile. Development without discipline is unsustainable. And growth without justice leaves too many people behind. To build the Ghana we desire, we must recommit ourselves to honesty, accountability, patriotism, compassion, discipline, respect for one another, and an unwavering commitment to the common good. As Proverbs reminds us, Proverbs 14, verse 34, righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. Our economic recovery has been built upon discipline. It must now be sustained by integrity. It must be protected by justice, and it must be strengthened by our national unity.
President Mahama further stressed the need for Ghanaians to reject division, corruption, and all forms of conduct that undermine the national unity of the country.
One of Ghana's greatest blessings is our unity in diversity. We speak different languages. We belong to different ethnic communities. We practice different faiths. We hold different political opinions. And yet, we remain one people with one common destiny. Before we belong to political parties, we belong to Ghana. Before we identify with tribe or region or religion, we are citizens of one republic, Ghana. Our constitution binds us together. Our history unites us. Our future depends upon our ability to work together. And therefore, let us reject bitterness, intolerance, and division. Let us reject corruption and cynicism. Instead, let us embrace dialogue over hostility, service over self-interest, unity over division, and hope over despair. No nation has ever achieved greatness by allowing its differences to define its future.
You heard President John Dramani Mahama. Now, security consultant Richard Komodo has called for the urgent fulfillment of government's pledge to provide new fire tenders to the Ghana National Fire Service. The service says it has not received new fire tenders in the past 15 years. Speaking to Citi News, Mr. Komodo noted that the fire service remains one of the country's critical national security institutions and must be adequately equipped to respond effectively to emergencies.
The National Fire Service is one of the sensitive national security institutions. So whatever we have to do to equip them to be able to work effectively in attaining the objectives for setting it up is great. My understanding is that the vendors you are using now is about 50 years old. Then I'm also aware that the President of the Republic made a pledge that they are going to supply them with 100 new ones. If the 100 new ones come in, then obviously it's going to increase their level of assertiveness, the speed to work, and the determination to ensure that the safety at all times will be achieved as an objective. Until that is done, it's an emergency situation and they would need help, definitely. It's definitely going to affect their levels of efficiency and output, and that may also raise minimal vulnerability issues for us as a nation. Because quenching a fire is key. Disaster management, fire, flood, many of those ones, you want to see your fire service people in front and you just don't want to see them, but you want to see them having the right equipment, placing them at the right places to ensure that they are performing the duties assigned to them as fire service people. If they don't have the right equipment and the logistics, that may raise some level of difficulties and it may increase the vulnerabilities the general public will face, particularly in the area of fire outbreak.
You heard security consultant Richard Komodo. Now, the legal scholar and government expert, Professor Stephen Kweku-Asare, is calling for the creation of an independent commission of political parties to regulate political parties, investigate breaches of the law, and strengthen Ghana's democracy. Speaking at the 2026 Solidaire Ghana Public Forum in Accra, Professor Asare said stronger oversight is needed to improve accountability within Ghana's political party system.
We must cap campaign spending, shorten election seasons, audit party accounts, and impose real consequences for violations. Ghana needs an independent commissioner of political parties with power to regulate, investigate, and enforce the law. Without enforcement, laws are slogans. With enforcement, laws become the backbone of democracy.
He also urged political parties to prioritize competence, integrity, and public confidence over money and political patronage when selecting candidates.
That means redefining what qualifies a candidate. Instead of demanding millions in cash, parties should demand thousands in citizens' confidence. Require aspirants to secure verified endorsement from members across all regions. That way, only those with genuine grassroots reach and organizational capacity qualify. Money does not prove seriousness. Mobilization does. Any rich person can write a check, but few can persuade thousands of citizens to sign their names behind the vision. Democracy should test leadership through mobilization, not monetization. The proposed decision for a handful of delegates must give way to genuine participation by all members. When the rank and file have a voice,
You heard legal scholar and government expert Professor Stephen Kweku Asare ending today's edition of the Citi Prime News, which has been live from our studio in Accra. Log on to citynewsroom.com for more stories. I am Ejubi Wiafe Akente. Many thanks for listening. Good afternoon.
City News. We speak first. Reach our hotline on 0302-224959 and get interactive on Facebook, City 97.3 FM, and on Twitter at City 973.
The blank sense is on your screens now.
And supporters the entire citizenry in Ghana. President Akufo-Addo gave me the opportunity to serve this country. I occupied about 4 portfolios. I mean, as a Deputy Interior Minister, Deputy National Security Minister, Regional Minister, and of course, the immediate past substantive Minister for the Interior. Now, when you occupy these positions, I mean,
you try to stay quiet. And though young, you begin to learn, and for that matter, to the line of a statesman. Hence, reasons why I have been quiet.
But recent developments in the Greater Accra region, a region you served as regional minister, will not keep you quiet. You wrote something very interesting on Facebook. What pushed you to write these comments on Facebook?
Oh, I wrote that because it didn't carry any political color, not at all. But I just wanted to communicate to the people that the issues about flooding in Accra must be taken serious. It has to now have, it's now a national security concern, whether we like it or not. And I think that it drew me back to when I was in office, the pragmatic measures that I put in place. And hopefully, or rather, if we had continued from there, perhaps mitigating circumstances or measures could have been used. We may not be where we are today. I do understand that flooding in Accra is not caused by a single factor. Rather, it's from a combination of engineering, environmental, planning, and human factors. You see? And to achieve sustainable solutions, you need interventions. And some of these interventions were the reasons why I embarked on Let's Make Accra Work. And for that matter, Operation Clean Your Frontage. Sammy?
And in this, policies that you just mentioned to us, you believe if it had been continued with this administration, what we recorded some few days ago would at least be reduced than what we saw, the gravity of what we saw. Is that it?
Yes, I'll say that it could have been reduced, not completely. I use the word reduced because, you see, even in advanced countries, it does rain and it does flood. But because they have good engineering systems in place, within a few minutes, you will notice that the rain will find its way into where it has to go to. Is that the case for Accra? I'm afraid no. So yes, you could say the flooding may be caused as a result of what we call force majeure. But in this case, I am pushed to say that largely it was man-made. And I'll tell you why. You see, when the rain falls, okay, it flows from Ebri Hills through Onyasia River into the seas. Now, from the Equapin Reach, because of the higher elevation, gravity causes the water to flow downhill. The water runs off, enters into streams and tributaries, including the Onyasia, which I mentioned, which carries water southwards through communities such as Aboko B, Hacho, Achimota, and surrounding areas. Now, all these that I've mentioned, they end up in the sea through Koli. And that brings about the Agboboloshi exercise. Some may think that I embarked on the Agboboloshi exercise because of political gains. No. Whether we like it or not. And you see, I don't know whether those days your men recorded some of the interviews I granted. I predicted in 2021 that if the matters, these matters are not addressed in 5 years' time, I mentioned the motorway will be submerged. I mentioned Claggon will be submerged. I mentioned Boteman will be submerged to the extent that I included areas like Trasacco. Okay? Today, all these areas that I mentioned have been submerged. And that is not the end. Because we haven't addressed the matter. And so, when you go to Agboboloshi, maybe you need the hydrogeologists. You need the geologists themselves. You need engineers, you need special planners. Go to Agbobush and take your time and do proper investigations. They have silted the Kwale, okay, with all manner of things. And so the Kwale cannot flow into the sea. As a result, it falls back. And when it falls back, it finds its way in the Odo, okay, spreads around Rana Motors area to state transports, partly Audome. The rest will go into Adabaka area and then find its way all the way to Asylum Dam through Nima. And because the water flowing from Ebri itself finds its way all through to the back of President Kufuor's house, okay, and then it goes through Jowulu into the big drain at Alajo into Odo. Definitely, when the rains or the water cannot find its way into the sea, what do you expect? All these areas will be flooded. And the main causes for this are as a result of improper planning. The indiscipline in Greater Accra. People have built on waterways, okay? After we worked tirelessly, and I want to thank President Akufo-Addo for giving me the support in doing that, I was able to reclaim 78.8 acres of land at Agbobush. What happened? Immediately we lost power. The people were asked to go back. And today this is what we see. So, Sami, dealing with this matter, leadership will have to take very, very bold decisions. And I like a statement that was made, I think a couple of weeks or so, by the General Secretary of the NDC, Fifi Kote. He talked about politicians taking decisions, bold decisions, okay? And just not thinking of losing elections. I just want to summarize what he said. When we begin to take these decisions, devoid of what the consequences will be like, we will be able to provide a leadership that the generation needs. Unfortunately, we haven't done so. And I will divert a bit and talk about a committee that has been formed by His Excellency the President. I don't know why and how and what went into the composition of the committee. However, I, with the greatest of respect to the members of the committee, will think that issues about flooding, you cannot form a committee of this nature without the Minister of the Interior. No. You cannot form a committee of this nature without the Minister for Finance. No. Fortunately, the Minister for Finance doubles as the Defense Minister. Okay? Now, the little that I know, cabinet ministers, for some reason, they find it difficult to operate with even deputy ministers in committees. I'm telling you this for a fact, Sami. So when you are forming committees of this nature, and with the greatest of respect for the members of the committee, I mean, what's her name again? The lady who is it Brew? The lady, what's her name again? The lawyer.
Marita Brew.
Marita Brew was an excellent
person,
excellent lawyer. I know she played a very strategic role in the boundary issues between Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire. You remember?
I remember that.
So these are fine personalities. But you see, when you form a committee like this, you need the Minister of Interior to be part of it. Defense Minister should be part of it. The Finance Minister should be part of it. And the Deputy Chief of Staff is a very good friend of mine, Stan Dube. So with the greatest of respect to him, it rather should be the Chief of Staff. Now, NADMO, DG NADMO should be part of it. The IGP should be part of it. Defense Minister, CDS should be part of it. Then you need a geologist. You need a hydrogeologist, special planner. You need these people to be on the committee so that they can advise give the technical advices, and then the politicians will drive the policy. But I'm afraid the composition of the committee, for me, I think that with the greatest of respect, President may have to look at it again and then add some flesh to the committee so they will be able to perform their duties.
But a composition of a committee, maybe there are clear reference, guidelines, what are supposed to do. Maybe they are supposed to come up with a strategy, and then this implementation agencies like the ministries and the department are supposed to do the implementation. And so if you set up a committee like that and you don't have ministers, we do not know the details, but obviously this will not go without the implementation body, which will be the ministers. So we can't conclude that the non-existence of ministers in this committee doesn't mean the ministers may not play any role in the implementation of the recommendations this committee may come up with, which is a task force anyway.
The committee should be an interministerial committee. There's a local government minister there, so definitely there's a minister there. That's what I'm saying. You put the local government minister there. Where is the interior minister? Flooding. It's an internal security matter. And if the man who controls internal security is not part of it, how do you expect the agencies under it to operate? Because in handling flood, you need the security intelligence agencies to be part of it, i.e. Fire Service, i.e. Ghana Police, i.e. NADMO, the Ghana Armed Forces. And their substantive ministers are not around. That's what I'm saying. The local government minister is there, all right.
So for a start, we got it wrong. For a start.
Oh, I wouldn't say we got it wrong. I mean, the president is the president. We've got to give him that respect. But I'm saying that perhaps he could have looked at the composition of the task force and then beefed it up a bit. Finance ministers are such that when they are not in the committees, and you bring budgets to them, they will pay. You get them to sit in the committee and then they understand the enormity of the challenges that we are facing so that they can go to consolidated funds and find money. But Attah-Mensah is not on the committee. National security, yes, is there. But who is going to fund the committee? The chief of staff, if you ask me, should have been the chairman of the task force. Julius Debra should be the chairman. And then interministerial committee, as we say, the local government minister, science and environment, interior minister, defense minister, finance minister, and some of the agency heads. And then you go into academia, and as I said, you find a hydrogeologist or a geologist himself, an engineer, a spatial planner. These, when you put together, believe me, they will come out with good recommendations for proper implementation to be done.
Okay, you talk about tough decisions we need to take to reduce the flooding in Greater Accra region. What are some of these tough decisions you are proposing?
When I started the operations, people thought that I was just doing demolition and I had no plan. It is not true. And demolition was only phase one of what I had wanted to do. My plan, if you ask me then, was to, as it were, relocate all the people trading in Abubulushin and by extension, the Konkumba market. Okay? When you put the Konkumba market, timber market together, you are looking at close to about 250 to 300 acres of land. Okay? Now, I won't mention the chief's name, but I had engaged some chiefs behind the media area. So we are able to speak to them to release between 200 to 300 acres of land for us. So that government will move all this today. Who processes timber in Accra, in the city? No. Gone were the days when you go to timber market and they are processing lumber. But if you take them to where it will be close to Insawam. It will be good for them to process lumber. So the plan was to move all of them there, relocate them, and then settle them there. Now you are going to have these 300 acres of land and do some proper planning with it. But of course, it comes with dealing with bulk breaking in Accra. bulk breaking has been a major problem for us. So the plan was to find, within the 300 acres, use about 100 acres to do bulk breaking. And that is why I went to CMB around Graphic to also demolish a few structures there. If you do your checks, NIB had to relocate from CMB to where it is currently because they couldn't do business in the city center. It cost them a lot financially. So that was my plan. Move all the traders, not dislocate them, resettle them, okay, by making sure bulk breaking is done outside the city center. When you do that, you free the entire place. They are able to do business like they are doing Ajen Kutuku and Dominance now. Today, when we go to Dominance, the Union sellers are happy because they are doing good business in an enabling environment. And there are no health risks and all that. Ajen Kutuku same. Unfortunately, there are one or two things that we should have done for them at Ajen Kutuku, which we were not able to do. And I admit that. We should have improved upon the roads infrastructure for them. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do that. So I think that this interministerial committee, if they are formed, should look at the re-engineering of Accra itself. The drains or drainage system in Accra were done many years ago when the population was probably around some 5-6 million.
I was coming to that because when you were regional minister, there was this garage project which many people have accused this present administration of abandoning the project. That's why we are seeing what we are seeing. What is your briefing on the current state of this project, if you know?
Well, as I said, I try not to do too much politics with these things. But what I know, and maybe the former local government minister should be able to speak on authoritatively to it, is that some monies were made available. I think it's between 300 or 350 million US dollars for the garage project. I know that as at the time that we were leaving office, almost about 200 million US dollars was still sitting there. As to what is being used for, I don't know. But it was meant to actually use it to mitigate some of these problems that we are talking about. You see what I mean? So, it can be done, but you need bold decisions. Leadership that is strong does not think about losing elections to do it. Unfortunately, the regional minister, well, I'll leave that.
Mr. Kwate, there are many who have also made the argument that Accra is choked. We need a new city where we can ease the pressure in the greater Accra region, which is both the commercial capital and the political capital. As someone who served as a regional minister in this city, you think we need a new one?
It will take a lot. You mean you want to do something like a Lagos and Abuja? If you recall, during the time that I embarked on Operation Clean the Frontage and Let's Make Accra Work, I decided to do what I call the West African Automobile Hub. I don't know whether you remember. I was able to speak to traders at Abosokai. Now, interestingly, when I began to engage them, I got to know that tabletop traders were close to about 12,000. I didn't know that. And they had over 25,000 shops in Abosokai. Interesting. So I went to Dubai with a team. We went and studied the system in Dubai. So I came back to Accra, engaged the Lands Commission, and requested for some 20,000 acres of land at Afienya. The plan was to relocate the entire traders at Abosokai to Afienya, where we will find sponsors to build what I call the West African Automobile Hub. Now, when you go to Dubai, you do not import a car, clear them, drive them in town with unregistered number or a DV plate. It is a one-stop shop. You buy the car in the harbour, customs, DVLA, everything are in the harbour. They register it for you before you go out. So my plan was to decongest the entire Greater Accra region, okay, by making sure that car dealers and all those who are selling cars around Jowulu and all that will move to Afia. And then you have a one-stop shop. Why do we travel today to China? We go to Dubai to buy stuff. Whereas we can also create that system in our country. Unfortunately, well, politics was brought into it. I had close to about 15,000 traders in Abosokan ready. They signed to move. We had discussions with the financial institutions who were also ready to go into discussions or negotiations with that to start constructing the West African Automobile Hub. As you know, politics will always be politics, so I wasn't able to do it. Now, that answers partly your question. If you are able to do that, you decongest Accra, because the Abosoka area, if you are able to move all these people, car dealers and all that around Jowulu, name them, to the Afia area, you will free a space, okay, around Kanishin all the way to Mataheko and by extension to Zongo Junction. Don't you think that will reduce pressure? In fact, it will reduce dumping of refuse, overcrowding and all that. But hey, it didn't happen. What do we do, Sammy? We have a challenge and we have to take the bull by the horn. I think I've heard the president on numerous occasions saying demolish buildings on waterways, but that is not the question.
But is that possible? Can that be done, Mr. Korte? Pulling down structures on waterways, because you could count close to about 1,000, 2,000 structures on waterways. Do we have the financial muscle to embark on such a project? A lot of people say it's just a talk. It's not something that can be done.
What are the technocrats doing? Every day people build in districts. Okay? You have special planning officers, you have works engineers, they continue to issue permits. Some of them must be next to face the law. One or two of them are sent to court and they are jailed. Believe me, they will sit up. I find it very difficult, especially when you go to a place like Ramsar site. We have signed onto the convention. Ghana has signed onto the convention, the Ramsar Convention. But yet, people in TDC, people in the assembly continue to issue permits for people to go and build in the waterway. I find it very difficult to understand or comprehend. And in the end, it is the politician who gets the blame. These days, when it rains, you hear people say, Abambuayo, Abambuayo, Abambuayo. Now, even you, the media, are you educating the people enough? Because when you go there with your cameras, all you do is to do the emotional blackmailing against government. Oh, the people are suffering, and there is this. But have you told them that, look, where you have built is not right? If we begin to educate the people, the media has a responsibility as well. Now, your question. When we begin to deal with people, when we get them to face the law, I believe that some of these things will reduce. You go to La, for instance. For the first time, I'm hearing that some parts of Chado got submerged. You know why? Beshi, as we know, is supposed to collect the water and then go into the sea. During my time, I went there, I did some demolition along the line, and people were like, hey, Enrico Teba will lose elections. Enrico Teba will lose elections. Reverend Abraham, what's his name? This pastor. Is it Abraham Lamte or something? He talked about this. But today, go to the Peshi and see people have built along the Peshi. They've virtually filled the whole place. How do you expect the water to flow into the sea from the Peshi itself into the sea? It cannot. So you go to a place like ICGC, Men's Autobus place, the ICGC.
Yeah, that's ICGC.
Did you see how the place has submerged? Yes, it's man-made. Why should a place like Chado, with the greatest of respect, submerge? We caused it. So can the task force make recommendations? Good recommendations. We have to do a re-engineering Accra again. our drainage system is not good. And there are too many people because of urbanization. Can we look at it again? It's another question. Having another capital city may take another 10, 15 years because where are we going? The Dodowa lands are getting to finish. So where are we going? We need to deal with the matter in Accra. First of all, there are people coming from other regions to come and do business in Accra. All the permits, all the licenses we are giving to investors are in Accra. Can we begin to look at a situation where you come to invest in Accra and we say, okay, can you do it in this region so that at the end of the day, the finance ministry will look at giving you some tax incentives and all that? Because every business that comes to Ghana these days are sited in Accra. And obviously when you do that, people will come to Accra to look for jobs. But we need to find a way to move some of these investments out of Accra. If we begin to do that gradually, things will change. You see what I mean?
But looking back and all the efforts you put in getting Accra to work again, and we are still recording these incidents, do you regret the effort you put in as regional minister at that time?
The answer is yes and no. Yes, because, for instance, anytime I drive past Agbogboshim, I get very hurt that, so if I had died, I would have died in vain. Nothing. And again, no, because I know that history will forever remember me and that I did my best.
Let's talk about MPP politics. I understand you are part of the campaign team of Mr. Boakye Jakun, who wants to be national chairman of the MPP. Why are you throwing your weight behind him? First of all, do you serve as a campaign manager or you're a member of the campaign team?
I am the campaign manager of Boakye Jakun's campaign.
Okay. You feel he's the best?
Undoubtedly, the MPP is at a crossroads. There is an existential threat to MPP as a party. Now, following from even the recent presidential primaries, you understand that, look, we have a lot of factions in the party now. With the greatest of respect for those who have availed themselves and are contesting for the position of a national chairman, the party needs somebody who can reorganize the party, who can rebuild the party, who can make the party strong, who can make the party solid, who can make the party formidable, okay, to become a party, a winning machine again. And you need somebody with that clout, that bold person. And clearly, amongst those who have availed themselves is Boakye Jakun. Boakye Jakun, being a national chairman of the party, I know that by the grace of God, we'll be able to extend an olive branch to people, those who are disgruntled, to say, look, come back and let's rebuild the party. And some of us are clear in our minds that Boakye Jakun, national chairman of MPP, a lot of people will begin to turn back and join the MPP again. So that is why some of us availed ourselves to work tirelessly to ensure that Jakun is made the national chairman of our party. It is not for personal gains, but I think that, like I said, the MPP has gotten to a point where, let me tell you something. Hitherto, the MPP, with the greatest of respect, is seen as an intellectual party, okay? The elite party. Now, because of elections, are we beginning to now move away from what we believe in to become a veranda party? Now, no. We are losing we are losing people in academia. We are losing people in the tertiary institutions. We are losing floating voters. We have to come back as a party, work together, and get these people to regain confidence in the party as a whole. And I think that Jakun is best placed to do this for MPP.
Sorry, Koti, thank you very much for your time. But before you go, just on a lighter note, your people in Alajo, the flooding hit them hard. Have you been in touch with them?
Well, let me use this opportunity to, for that matter, express my condolences to all those whose families have been affected by the flooding in Accra. And of course, those who have lost their properties and all that. It's rather unfortunate, more especially my people in Alajo area. Yes, I'm no more the member of parliament there, but unfortunately I'm out of the country. When I return, I'll go to the constituency, visit some of them, and as I always do, if there's anything I can do for them, not undermining the current member of parliament, but I've served the constituency for well over 16 years, and I believe it is in the right place for me to visit victims of the flood and see what I could do for them. So I just have to use your medium to say, well, sorry for what has happened, but at the same time, I have to also admonish them to continue to respect the Operation Clean Your Frontage guidelines that we brought. I mean, when I did it, I did it together with the all members of parliament in Greater Accra. It was bipartisan. We were able to pass a lot of bylaws in Accra, and I don't know why the regional minister and the MMDCs are not enforcing these bylaws. Okay, but that is another day that we'll discuss this.
Henry Quartey, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it. Henry Quartey is former member of parliament for the Ayawaso Central constituency, former Greater Accra regional minister, and former interior minister, and a former deputy national security minister, as well, speaking to us there on the recent flooding issue that has hit the Greater Accra region. The rains have come in, and we are told that it's going to be more, because the Meteo is also informing us or telling us that we should expect more of the rains. Let's go to the line again and speak to Alfred Nik Amarteifio. He was listening through the interview. He says he wants to make some intervention on a number of things Mr. Henry Quartey said in our interaction with him. He's also the member of parliament for the Odo constituency. Alfred Nik Amarteifio, thank you very much for your time. What intervention do you want to make, sir?
Thank you very much, and good evening to all your listeners. Let me say thank you to my fellow brother, Honorable Nik Amarteifio, for the submissions he made, especially on the floods and the solutions he proffered. I think he's very well spoken. He's a gentleman I admire, and so I was, keenly listening to him. Yes, we all know that Accra, as a matter of fact, is blessed with 5, Ramsey sites, or what we call wetlands. We have the Densu Delta, which spans from Weja all the way through to McCarthy Hills and so on. Then the Sakumono site, and then we have what we call the Abokobi, which is in the East area. And we have these ecological ones as well, which purpose is to mitigate flooding as it were. Of course, we all know that in modern age, for want of lands, and so when people have actually encroached waterways, people have reclaimed wetlands and what have you. And so I believe we all know what it is that is happening, and the fact that we need to clear the path to allow water to flow freely, just so we don't continue to experience what we're experiencing now. This is a major wake-up call. But quickly, I heard my big brother, Honorable Nik Amarteifio, say that he managed to clear a place around the Attah-Mensah, to be precise, for some of these reasons, and that when they lost power, we have asked the people to go back and encroach the space. I know for a fact that that space that they cleared, which the people have reoccupied, has absolutely nothing to do in the name of Ramsey site or water retention, or in fact, it has absolutely nothing to do with flooding. And so I just want to establish that. Sacking the people from there and allowing the people to go back there has absolutely nothing to do with, for want of a better word, the flooding situation currently. Where we have the challenge. But
hold on, Alfred, hold on. So the people are back. You allow the people to come back. Is that it? Let's establish that.
we did not allow the people to go back.
But the people are back. The people are back.
That place was yes. I will admit that. Now that place was supposedly meant for Agenda 111, according to what we came to meet. But ever since it was earmarked, not a single piece of block was placed there for the foundation of any Agenda 111. We rather got information, allegedly, that it was rather being diverted for private use. You understand? So it never saw the light of day. It was an open space, walled and lying fallow. And yes, the people went in there to do their trading. We have cautioned all of them that government has need for that place. And if you care to know, under the Accra Smart City project, which the Ministry of which one of the ministries is Ministry of Special Initiatives, thank you, is about to initiate. That area has been identified or captured, as part of the Accra Smart City, or we call the Nova Accra project, which will span from all the way through Abaso Pine area along the College Stretch all the way to the beachfront. And there are plans to do dredging, because today we came to power to notice that the college has been reclaimed to the extent that it has created a bottleneck, just like he said, that Honorable Porty said, that the water is unable to flow through the college to the sea. And so it returns back into the one just connected to the college, it returns back to it, and then it floods. So we have come to meet this. And as an assembly, AMA is doing everything possible to clear the people. Not too long ago, we went there with some investors and international delegation who came to Accra to go and inspect the place, and we have decided how much we are going to dredge, all those clean areas off the Colina going. So it will create a path for the water to flow. The water canals have all been taken over. The wetlands have all been taken over.
For all these, we know that. So for you, your issue is that these areas Mr. Henry Cote mentioned as clearing them to avoid flooding. Mm-hmm. It wasn't purposely for flooding, but it
has absolutely nothing
for
to do
Agenda 111 construction. Okay, just hold on.
Precisely.
Just hold on. Mr. Henry Cote is still on the line. He wants to react to this particular statement. Mr. Henry Cote, the member of Parliament for Odio believes that the site you are talking about was not meant to help reduce flooding, but it was a site for the construction of Agenda 111 hospital.
Honorable, good evening to you. And
good evening,
congratulations once again for taking over from Neil and Van der Poel as a member of Parliament for a constituency where I come from. I'm a proper Odododio boy from Otublo.
I know, right?
So matters of Odododio are of concern to me. But I think that with the greatest of respect, I disagree with you completely in your submission. You see, are you disputing the fact that Korle has heavily been silted? When we did the exercise,
I endorse that.
It may interest you to know that the Korle had vehicles in them. Cars. They had what we call in Ghana sawdust, sholo, and all rubbish, that they make within the Konkumba and the 78 acres of land that I recovered. They dump it in the Korle. Now, you and I know that the water falls from a bridge, as I indicated earlier, goes through the Onyasia, Korle, and all that. And the only space that it has to find into the sea is the Korle. So when the Korle is silted, with the greatest of respect, how do you expect the water to flow into the sea? So I pray we do not do politics with this, because I've been careful not to do politics at all. I'm stating facts, but I get the impression you are trying to do politics. The matter at hand has no political color, because if I want to do politics, I'll go into evidence, or rather document that I have, and I can tell you monies that were raised for Garrett the work that Zumla and co. I've moved from that. And I want us to look at the matter practically. So as I'll be grateful that you don't make that statement. And again, for the records, we do not reclaim 78 acres of land for Agenda 111. It is not true. I was the one who gave Dr. Nsiansari, and I only gave him 15 acres of land. If you care to know, when we finished the exercise in Agbogbloshie, reasons why it was left there, because there was a committee that was formed to look at the toxic nature of the soil, whether it was proper for people to even go and live on it, okay? Now, EPA came back and said, no, we need to do some soil treatment, this and that was going to take a minimum of 5 years. So the plan, okay, was to do greens there. That's why it was left. Now, the finance ministry had then voted some money that they call Obatampa. We were waiting for clearance so that the Agenda 111 will be built, and I'm saying again, on just 15 acres of land. And I reclaim 78.8 acres, so it cannot be said. And I seriously disagree with you when he said the whole place was for Agenda 111. No, that was not the case. So please, let us avoid doing politics with this situation. And when we go there, then I have to change the tone of my conversation and begin to speak as a politician. I do not want to do that.
Well, very, very well, Harry Corti. Ni, are you still on the line?
Thank you. Yes. So hello.
I can hear you loud and clear.
Very well. And so I did everything possible not to mix politics with this because it's a national issue. And you recall that I admitted the calling has been filtered, it has been reclaimed, and all of that. As far as I know, when we came to power, the only land that has been secured around that enclave is the one that was walled for the Agenda 111 project, supposed Agenda 111 project. And that is what exactly I have spoken about. All the rest of the places have already been taken over before we came to power. So I didn't see any extra land over the land followed before we came to power. Honorable Henry, I know that this is something that we need to look at dispassionately because it's claiming lives. And so I have not done politics with it at all. In fact, if I would have done politics, I would have also gone into the area where the Minister for Sanitation, was giving money to do the dredging of the Odo and what have you, which, we didn't really see, which has also collectively ended up in what we are facing now. You will recall that in the previous Mahama era, his own brother, Baba, used his own machines to go and dredge the Odo and all these things I would have talked about and add that when they came to power under Derrick, what precisely did we say that changed the situation? But I didn't talk about all of those things because I didn't think that we should do politics with it. I only tried to correct an impression that I believe he had made. And if he said he left more than the land that was earmarked for the Agenda 111, then probably we should get to see. But I respect him a lot.
Okay.
I didn't come here to do politics with him at all.
Okay, Ni, thank you very much for your time. Alfred Nik Amarteifio is the Member of Parliament for the Dodio constituency, the member of the Local Government and Rural Development Committee of Parliament, and Mr. Harry Corti, former Greater Accra Regional Minister and former Member of Parliament for the Ayawaso Central constituency and former Minister of the Interior. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. This is Eyewitness News coming to you live from our studios here in Accra. We'll go for a quick break. When we come back, we'll go to the Accra Digital Center because we are told that Monday's flooding has disrupted work and passport applications have been affected.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
You know that feeling when you're getting ready for work. Your shirt is still crumpled and the iron is just starting to warm up. Or you're late for the wedding and now about to blow dry your hair. Or you have just stocked up meat for the cold store and then suddenly, light off. Life just keeps getting paused. But what if your roof, yes, your roof, could keep things running in your homes and businesses? With EcoBank ASAP, you can switch to solar now by getting a loan to buy solar power systems with no upfront cost and easy repayment. Power your life through EcoBank's vetted solar vendors and lower your power bills over time.
Take back your power with EcoBank ASAP. EcoBank,
the Pan-African Bank. HR is evolving. Are you ready? Join industry leaders, HR professionals, and business executives at HR Connect Conference 2026 for powerful conversations on transforming HR into a true driver of business growth and competitive advantage in Africa. The theme: from certification to competence, why elevating HR is critical for business growth and competitive advantage in Africa. The date, 30th and 31st of July 2026 at the Labadi Beach Hotel at 9 a.m. daily. Tickets are going for 2,000 Ghana cedis only. HR Connect Conference 2026. Connect, learn, lead, and transform.
It's Betway's 10-year birthday celebration, and in this epic month of football, it's your 10. Remember backing Black Stars to beat Niger to make it to Qatar and winning? It's your 10. Bet on every exciting moment of the action in the world's biggest football tournament with us and get behind the best of our continent. Here's to the next decade. It's your 10, only at Betway. Terms and conditions apply. Regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. No under 18, but the responsible way. Betway, get way more.
Get ready this July to step into a world where culture meets commerce, ideas turn into opportunities, and Made in Ghana takes the spotlight like never before. Welcome to the Northern Business Fair 2026. For 2 powerful days, the Jubilee Park will transform into a buzzing hub of creativity, innovation, and enterprise from the Savannah, Northern, Northeast, Upper East, and Upper West regions. From beautifully crafted products, innovative packaging, fast-growing local brands, and indigenous corporate bodies, every stand will tell a story of passion, resilience, and growth. This is not just a fair, it's a full experience. It's a place to discover, a place to connect, a place to grow. This is your chance to engage with Ghana's most exciting SMEs, startups, and homegrown brands all in one vibrant space. Dates: Saturday 25th and Sunday 26th July 2026. Venue: Jubilee Park, Tamale. Time: 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily. Are you ready to showcase your business to the nation and beyond? Call 0205-973-973 now and secure your spot. Don't sit on the sidelines. Be part of the energy. Be part of the story. The Northern Business Fair 2026 is powered by Channel 1 TV with support from Citi FM, and it's proudly sponsored by EcoBank, the National Petroleum Authority, and the Ghana Export Promotion Authority.
Accra to a new way of flying. ValueJet is now in Ghana, connecting you from Lagos to Accra, from Accra to the beautiful city of Banjul, and back again. Whether it's business in Lagos, holiday in Banjul, or coming home to family here in Accra, we're bringing West Africa closer, one flight at a time. Reliability you can trust, fares you will love, and a welcome that feels like home.
Book your journey now at flyvaluejet.com or call us on 054-116-7474. Value Jets, wings for everyone.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Yeah, welcome back. You're still listening to Eyewitness News, coming to you live from our studios here in Accra. You can join the conversation with your WhatsApp message. The number to send to is 0539-986-996. 0539-986-996. Send your messages and read them out. Remember, Eyewitness News is also live on our affiliates across the country. In the Western region, we are on Abjempa 101.7 FM in Takwa Beach, 105.5 FM and Sky 93.5 FM in Takrady. In the Bono region, we are live on Greener 95.9 FM in Sunyani. In the Ashanti region, hear us on Orange FM, and in the Volta region, we are also live on Heritage 107.3 FM in Hohoi. In the still in the Volta region, you can hear us on Freedom 88.1 FM in Sogakope. In the Northern region, we are live on Radio Gaki 88.3 FM in Saboba. In the Upper East region, we are live on Quality 98.7 FM in Garu and Bolgatanga. We are live on Bolga 102.7 FM. In Northeast region, we are live on Nobia 98.1 FM. And also in the Upper West region, we are live on Popoli 92.7 FM in Wa. You can join the conversation as I mentioned earlier. Send your WhatsApp messages tonight to 0539 986 996 0539 986 96. This is Eyewitness News. The Accra Digital Center is in the news because we are told that on Monday, when it rained heavily in Accra, parts of the center was hit with flooding. If not part, major part of the center was hit with flooding, affecting work to the extent that management has asked workers to, work from home if they need be, and also some other things. In studio with me is Christine Anson, who is the Deputy CEO of the Ghana Digital Centers Limited. Hello, welcome. Good evening.
Good evening.
Tell us what's happening there.
Well, as it stands now, we are just trying to, we are still continuing to mitigate our losses, salvaging the situation. We still have water in most of our rooms. We are pumping it out. We've acquired some pumping machines to manually pump it out. We've contacted NADMO, but NADMO is overwhelmed. I mean, you see what happened. Yeah. So we are trying to help ourselves before NADMO comes. Yeah. So
I've seen videos and pictures on social media. Is that bad?
Yes. I mean, on Monday, nobody could access the place. My CEO was there. He is a very tall man, so he could stand in the water, but I could not because of my height. Yes, it would carry me away. So he managed to take those pictures you are seeing on social media. Yes, our new building in front of us, I think he went up there to take the pictures because the water levels were very high. I mean, to the window, entering all the buildings, toppling cupboards, tables, chairs, completely soaking our laptops, our storeroom, completely, all laptops completely submerged underwater, documents, files, everything completely gone.
And it affected every office in the building?
Yes, all of our offices. I think VFS side, the third block, they were not really affected like the rest of the block because that block is higher, but there's still water entered through their windows even though they were higher. So their floors are gone. And the way the digital center is built, the area is a lowland, it's a flat land. I don't know if you've been there. Our buildings are not sitting on the land. They are elevated inside. So we have all our cables and wiring underneath the building. So when water entered the building, it filled up the foundation of the building. So underneath all of the 12 blocks, there is water there that we are pumping out manually because that's where all the electricals are. Yes, and it's still filled with a lot of water.
And have you called ECG to help because of the electric you mentioned?
Well, they turned off all the lights in the enclave because we are circle. I mean, for people who might not know where we are located at, we are located just behind the VIP and also close to State Housing. So that enclave is a place where, if your property gets flooded, it's not very surprising. So ECG has taken the lights off because how it is now, like I said, the floor is elevated and the elevation, the covering is a steel, it's metal. So if there is light also, there is a risk of electrocution. Yes. So the light has been completely taken off for the safety of everybody.
What has happened to workers? Have you issued any directive?
Yes, management has issued a directive to temporarily suspend all employment contracts because of what has happened. It's an act of God. It's a force majeure. It can frustrate almost every contract that we have with our partners, contractors, employees, and all of that. Also because we are a limited liability company. We are not an agency. Although we are under the Ministry of Communication, Digital Technology and Innovation, we are not an agency. We are a limited liability company. We rely on IGF. We look for business. My CEO and I, we go out, look for business, and then generate money so we can pay our workers. And one of our core businesses is the giving out of the spaces for tech businesses, BPO companies, and also, using the space for training. So our main business is the space, and the space is underwater. So we couldn't, management needed to sit and then strategize. We are engaging government, the ministry, to help us restore the place. Physically, the place is not accessible to anybody. Like I said, all the electric cables are underneath. There's metal on it. If you access the place, something can go wrong. So we don't think people should come to the office. Also, our work is not the type that you can do from home, because it is the physical space that we are given, and the physical space is underwater. And so management issued a directive that there is an intention to recall our staff once we have been able to obtain some subventions and help. We understand that the president has issued a directive to the Ministry of Finance to release some funding for the flood victim. We are also looking at that to see how we can...
You're also victims?
Yes, the company, not me. The company is a victim. And the company is a victim that a lot of people depend on. You understand? We need to be able to help and safeguard people's employment. So, as a company, we are also a victim of the flood, and we are seeking support. We are still talking so that the company is restored, so we can now recall our workers back to work.
You have a time period you think you can deal with it, because you mentioned that NADMO is not help because you're overwhelmed. You are doing this on your own.
Mm-hmm.
One, how professional are you doing this to ensure that you are able to do it well? Mm-hmm. And now that NADMO is also not coming in, have you given yourself that timeline you're able to finish?
No, as it stands now, it just happened on Monday, Tuesday. Today is Wednesday. Since yesterday, we've been pumping water out. We are trying to mitigate. So we are not trying to solve, because we are not professionals, like you said. But the part where we see that the water is stuck under, we cannot let the water remain with the electrical cables and also remain underneath the building. It will weaken the building. So we got the pumps, and then we are pumping it out. If you go to the digital center, as I'm speaking to you, you see my CEO there. He's been there since Monday. Trying to, solve some of the issues whilst we wait for NADMO and other people to come to our aid, so that we can have professionals work on these things.
The staff members you asked to be home because of these challenges, there are reports that there's a way of dismissing them. It's more or less like a dismissal, because is that it? Because it's all over social media, and you've asked them to bring back their laptops, the laptops you gave to them. Is that a form of dismissal? It's all over social media.
So we have not dismissed them, and you see, because this is a time of disaster, this is something that has happened to us. We try as much as possible to make the communication as humane as possible, but the truth is we have not dismissed them. What we have done is called administrative layoff, which is very, very is something that is not strange in how do we call it?
If you say layoff, it means you are sacking somebody.
No, we said temporarily suspended employment contract.
That was the communication.
Yes. So if you've seen some of the communication, that is how it is. Besides, we have not laid anybody off. If we want to lay people off, we can lay people off, and we would have laid them off the moment we took office, when my boss and I came. But we have not laid anybody off since we came. We've been working with everybody. In fact, there were situations where some people had been sidelined when we came into the company. There were people who had been sidelined. There were some of the staff who were already existing there who didn't even have laptops. They refused to give them laptops because they were not people's favorites. There were people who have been refused promotions because they claimed they were not other people's favorites. They had the qualification to be promoted, but they were still left below, their stations. And people who had, come with the previous CEO were getting promotions. What did we do? We put them on the station, at the station where we believe their qualification would take them, and then paid them the salaries we believe they deserve. We have worked with everybody peacefully at the digital center. And we've tried our best to make sure that, because beyond everything, these are Ghanaians and these are people who have dependents also. So it is not something that is easy to us. It is something that has happened to us. It is not easy for us to tell our workers that the place is not safe. The company is underwater. Go home for some time. Let us find ways to restore the facility and then run business, and then we will call you back to do your work. Now, why have we asked them to bring their laptops? There are some of them who left their laptops in the facility. Some of them take it home. Some of them leave it behind. For those who left it behind, the water carried some away. Some has been toppled. We are not able to access some of the laptops. We want to know those who have their laptops with them, because we are writing an incident report. We need to see what we have lost, what we have, and all of that. So if we tell you to return your laptop, it's not because we have sacked you. We are saying that we are taking account of all company property, because it's not a sole proprietorship. It's a government company. All those properties belongs to government, and we are taking account of it. Yesterday, the minister visited us. He asked us to take account of every other thing that is left. You understand me? So it is not like somebody is sacking you to go home and we take joy in doing that. No, this is a situation that has happened to all of us, and we are trying as much as possible to sustain this company so it doesn't die. When we are back on our feet, we will call our staff and then we work together.
Why if it's not dismissal? Why is it all over the place? Especially social media and the likes, that people, even staff members, are saying it is dismissal in disguise.
Something is not something just because you call it that way. And it's rather unfortunate that internal communications will be leaked by staff members. I don't think it is the best. But of course, we cannot pretend we are not living in a political, country where everybody will put meanings of we're in this country when somebody said review means cancel, but all of us have been to school. We know it's not the same. So you putting a name on something doesn't make it so. We are the management. We have been working with you. You have come to the space. You've seen how the space is. If they were in our shoes, what would they have done? So we are telling you, we have been working with you for all this while, and we are telling you that we need you to take a break so that we can restore the place so you can have a conducive environment to work. The administrative layoff, they have implications. Everything we do have implications. Management has weighed all those implications and come to this agreement. So if I don't understand why the staff will want to put it out and get public sentiments and politicize this whole thing, instead of us focusing on how we can, rise up from this situation that we have. My boss and I, we've not slept. We've been working very hard to make sure that the digital center does not fold up. We still want to have a company at the end of the day so that you can come back to this company. But we expected support from our staff and those people who leaked, these things. We expected some support, because if not anything, since my boss and I came there, we met people. We know what had been happening at other companies. So you come, you sack people. We are on record to have not sacked anybody.
And asking them to take their break, are you going to pay them?
We cannot afford to. Like I said, we are not on controller. We generate IGF. So if the space and
because you're on break, no payment as well.
That is the implication of temporarily suspending employment contracts. So let me tell you, legally, when you have a contract with somebody, there are things that can frustrate the contract and bring the contract to an end. One of such things is a force majeure or an act of God. You understand? So if you have a contract with somebody, one of the things that can completely bring the contract to an end is a force majeure. But this time around, we are saying, although there is a force majeure, it's an act of God, we are not going to terminate your employment completely, because we understand.
But Christy, if you're asking me to stay home, you're not going to pay me end of the month. Is equal to termination of appointment through no fault of theirs.
It is not our fault too. And I'm saying that we are not on controller. If we have to generate IGF practically, as you sit here, if you sell spaces and you generate money from selling the spaces to pay everybody, and the space is underwater, what are you going to do? So the best we can do is to take this decision and then engage government. Government is the sole shareholder of this company. If government intervenes and then wants to pay the staff or wants to come in and intervene, give us some funding support where we can afford to pay our staff even as they stay at home, and whilst we are also renovating our building, why not? Like we said in the letter, if you read, with intent to recall after the restoration or pending the restoration of our facility. You understand? So as management, we know that we have to generate before, and we have tenants. 23 of them were affected by the floods. These people are not people you can go to say that pay us rent. After their entire office, laptops and everything has been destroyed by the flood, can we go and ask them to pay rent to us? No, we cannot. So even if you say you are working from home, like I've said, our work is not the type you can do from home. So you will just be sitting at home and still doing nothing and expecting salaries, which we have been truthful to you to tell you that because we generate, and the thing we use to generate the money is underwater. We cannot generate.
Okay.
The company, myself and my CEO, there have been times when company have owed us salary for a long time. We sacrifice so that we can pay junior staff, and we've paid them sometimes 7 months, 3 months, 4 months, and we have not even received salaries or even our conditions of service. But we are all trying because the company belongs to government. So if there is we are not generating money, how do we pay you?
Christine, thank you. Thank you for the clarification. Christine Anson is the Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Digital Centres Limited, a place where we are told flooding has hit, disrupting work, and workers asked to go home, in the words of Christine, on a temporary basis. Okay.
I'd like to add briefly that we expect our staff to give us the necessary support that we need as we are trying to look for the help that the company needs, because if the company survive, all the workers and all of us will survive together. There's no need, trying to throw your CEO under the bus in a situation like this.
Christine, thank you very much. Christine also is Deputy CEO of the Ghana Digital Centres Limited. Thank you very much for coming. This is Eyewitness News coming to you live from our studios here in Accra. Now, lawyers of former Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu have announced plans to appeal ECOWAS court judgment that dismissed a case following her on what she described as an unlawful removal from office as Chief Justice. Let's go on to Zoom and speak to lawyer for the former Chief Justice, who is also the former president of the West African Bar Association, talking about Femi Felana, a Nigerian who represented the former Chief Justice at the ECOWAS court. Femi, good evening. Thank you very much for your time.
Good evening.
Now, you have announced plans. Good evening to you too. You have announced plans to appeal this judgment. On what grounds are you going to appeal? Run us through.
Well, the ECOWAS Court of Justice is a one-chamber court. In other words, there's no provision for appeal with respect to the decisions of the court. However, you may file an application for a revision of the judgment of the court if there are areas that you believe the court did not address its mind to, and that may happen in this case. We're studying the judgment and we're going to take appropriate action at the right time. But suffice it to say that of all similar cases that have been decided by that court, one of the former Chief Justice of Ghana, the Honorable Justice Gertrude Tokonu, it's a very strange one. It's a strange judgment. It's a total departure from the jurisprudence of the court.
If you say it's a total departure, exactly what do you mean?
Well, the court said in some of areas where we have fundamental disagreement with the judgment, in dismissing the case, the court held that it cannot review the findings of the committee that form the basis for a removal. But we are saying, in other cases, particularly in the case of Ladeto Yibo and Nigeria, and the ECOWAS court did not say that the allegation of improper procedure adopted by the panel that investigated the applicant in that case fall within the domestic jurisdiction of Nigerian courts, which is what the court said this time. In other words, whereas we are challenging the composition of the panel that investigated the Chief Justice of Ghana, and the court said no, if we do that, that will be interfering in the domestic affairs of Ghana. But in the case of Aladeto Yibo, against the Republic of Nigeria, the same court, examining the composition of the panel, came to the conclusion that the panel was improperly constituted because in the proceedings of the panel, some members did not sit, including the day that a recommendation was made for the removal of the judge. And the court therefore set aside the decision of the National Judicial Council of Nigeria. He also saying where the court said the 3 committee members that failed to take their oath of office, that you cannot look into it. But to do that again, and because that falls within the domestic jurisdiction of Ghanaian court. Again, with profound respect. In the case of Justice Joseph Wawu, High Republic of the Gambia, a judge that was dismissed for alleged corruption, the same court said the investigation done and the government of the Gambia did not comply with Article 7 of the African Charter. And the court did say that the preferred stage of an investigation is as important as the main investigation. But in the case of Ghana, because washed off his hands like Pontius Pilate, therefore why did you go to the court? We are alleging that the right to fair hearing, the Justice of Ghana, was violated. The court didn't say no. The court simply said, oh, we don't agree with you. Therefore, we don't want to look into the merits of the allegations against her. The cases, the case of Aladeto Yibo, the case of Mumu, the case of Justice Jane of Liberia, the ECOWAS court specifically examine the reasons adduced for the dismissal of those judges. But in the case of the Chief Justice of Ghana, the ECOWAS court said, look into those reasons that form engaging or acting as an appellate court to the committee that investigated the Chief Justice. But in the other cases, that was exactly what the ECOWAS called. The other one is that the court said, oh, a right to freedom of information cannot be said to have been breached because she had not made a request for the reports, the recommendations of the committee, the report of the committee. Then with profound respect. Number one, under Section 280 of the Constitution of Ghana, any committee or a judicial panel that made any recommendation that would be against the interests of any person in Ghana will have to make the report available in case the person affected may want to file an appeal as of right from the finding of the Commission of Inquiry. In this case, I think that was not enough. The office of the president made an announcement, and we remember the videotape where the government said, we are not going to release the report. In fact, according to them, in line with Section 140 of the Constitution.
Okay. All right, Femi, sorry, sorry to cut in. Sorry to cut in.
She did not ask for the report. It totally it cannot be explained.
Okay, Femi.
The government has said we're not going to release the report.
Hello, Femi, can you hear me?
How can you say the right to freedom of information has not been violated?
Okay, Femi, sorry to cut in, but then I've seen a letter you've written to the ECOWAS president asking the establishment of an ECOWAS court, commission, asking for the establishment of an appellate. You know very well that the decisions of the ECOWAS court remain final. Should there be the establishment of the appellate because of your case, because of the former Chief Justice, and so there should be an establishment of one?
No, the debate has been on since 2005. As a matter of fact, in the case of Femi Falana, commission, I challenge the failure of the commission and the management of the court to set up the appellate chamber advised by the Council of Ministers in 2005. Secondly, even the management of the court has joined the campaign for an appellate chamber. Incidentally, Justice Ashanti, when he was the president of the court, did recommend that there should be an appellate chamber of the court. Secondly, many countries, including Nigeria, have failed, refused to comply with the judgments of the ECOWAS court on the ground that the decisions of the court were not tested on appeal. So we are making a strong case. But what has happened is that this case has made a very strong ECOWAS commission an opportunity to review certain judgments, and we have brought them out. The inconsistencies in these judgments, this particular case of the Chief Justice of Ghana has really brought out such inconsistencies. Therefore, we need to make a strong case for the establishment of the, and I've cited many cases, set up in Nigeria, Femi Falana in Nigeria, Federation of Journalists in the Gambia and the Gambia, and so on and so forth. Where the court has been consistently inconsistent. This is why we're asking for an appellate chambers.
Femi, finally, litigation has to come to an end. The ECOWAS court has given The ECOWAS court has given its ruling or its judgment on this matter. Is it not enough? Is it not okay? Why do you still want to stretch the judicial system again?
No, it's not about stressing the judicial system. It's about pursuing your rights under the law. And we are going to invoke the jurisdiction of the court to review the decision, because under Articles 6364 of the procedure, the rules of procedure of the court, there is a provision for eviction of the decision of the court. Certain elements were not taken into consideration. That is why we are taking advantage of the relevant provision of the rules of the court as well as the jurisprudence of the court. And I'm talking of decided cases.
Have you announced the date you want to file these processes? When do you intend to do this?
Not yet. We're still working on the judgment. Yeah.
Femi, thank you very much for your time. Thank you
very much. My pleasure.
Femi Falana is a lawyer for former Chief Justice Gertrude Tokono when she went to the ECOWAS court to seek some intervention following her removal as the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana. Femi also happens to be the former president of the West African Bar Association. Thank you very much for your time, Femi. This is Eyewitness News coming to you live from our studios here in Accra. You can send your WhatsApp message, the number to 0539-986-996, 0539-986-996. Fafa Melody is here to give us an update in the news.
While in more news, the Ghana Education Service has halted the payment of salary to the Bawle Senior High School teacher accused of inappropriate sexual conduct with a student. The service says the teacher has absconded from duty following the incident. Speaking to the media, the Director General of the Ghana Education Service, Professor Ernest Kofi Davis, warned teachers against such misconduct, stressing that offenders will face the full rigors of the law as well as disciplinary sanctions.
Our understanding is that he has absconded. So we have proceeded to stop his salary. Yesterday, his salary was stopped, and we are depending on the police to apprehend him so that we take him through the process. We want to pursue legal action against the staff involved, and also take him through our established processes, the code of conduct, so that at the end of the day, we apply the rules as stipulated in our code of conduct. We will apply the toughest sanction to serve as deterrent, because we want our school environment to be safe, and teachers who expose children the way we saw in the video do not have place at GS. So we have taken the steps to stop his salary. We interdicted him first, and we had to take the step to stop his salary. And now we are pursuing him.
You have the Director General of the Ghana Education Service, Professor Ernest Kofi Davis. Now, stakeholders in the Upper East region are calling for urgent action to address the recurring destruction caused by the annual spillage of the Bagre Dam, which continues to destroy farmland, properties, and claim lives. Speaking at a working group session on the second day of the Upper East Regional Development and Business Forum in Bogatanga, participants urged government to implement lasting measures to tackle the challenge. Speaking to Citi News, environmental scientist at the University of Technology and Applied Sciences, Dr. Raymond Attah-Mensah called for stronger cross-border cooperation to ensure the compensation provisions under the Volta Basin Authority Charter are enforced.
One thing we need to notice that in terms of climate change, things like flooding doesn't know borders. They don't know Burkina Faso, they don't know Ghana. Whatever effects that come affects all of us. So already the Volta Basin Authority has a charter, and that charter has made provisions for compensation for communities that are affected by any member of the charter activities. So by spilling water to Ghana, Ghanaians, communities who are affected by that, has a right within that charter to ask for compensation. The reality is that over the years, no community or no authority in Ghana has asked for that compensation or support from the Burkina Faso authorities regarding compensation or assistance for affected communities for the harm that they cause in Ghana.
Dr. Raymond Attah-Mensah is an environmental scientist at the University of Technology and Applied Sciences. Now, in other stories, pressure is mounting on the Achimota Zoom Park transfer station just 2 weeks after it reopened to receive hundreds of refuse-laden tricycles. The facility was reopened to help address Accra's recent sanitation disposal crisis. However, the increasing volume of water has overwhelmed the station, prompting waste transport operators and Zoompark to call for urgent intervention. Speaking to Citi News, waste transport operator Michael Jackson described the situation as frustrating.
We've been here since morning. Some tricycles have been able to dispose of their contents, but a lot of us are yet to. About 700 tricycles have lined up waiting for their turn. We are pleading with the government because Zoom Lion cannot do this single-handedly. We used to dispose of refuse at McCarthy dump sites, but we are unable to do that now because of the heavy rain.
First, they call McCarthy down. They say, because if you much say
abubu ya fono ya fa bola na do na Greater Accra.
Government has to help us because the tricycle operators absorb a greater part of Accra's refuse. We need a nearby place to dump the refuse rather than moving from far places such as Odoko to Achimota. We are hoping that every district even gets a dump site.
Now far away. Now the cost short distance.
That was a waste transport operator, Michael Jackson. Now reacting to the congestion, Head of Operations and Engineering at Zumpak, Derek Minta, appealed to government to urgently support the facility by helping to cover its operational costs as it struggles to manage the increased demand.
Operating a landfill is very expensive. Operating transfer station is very expensive, even though it finds itself in the city or in the town where the waste is intercepted before it takes to the appropriate disposable site or to Accra Compost and Recycle plant. But without the support of the government, this facility becomes very difficult for it to operate now. As you can see, many of Aboboya people coming here pay something that I can, just a token of 50 Ghana cedi. 50 Ghana cedi is not even enough for you to break even, even when we have the number of people who are coming here. So we are calling on the government and the local government to come and support so that we will be able to receive more of the Aboboya people coming here, and also we'll be able to eradicate the support. The government should come in and also support in terms of paying parts of the running cost or part of the operational cost.
Derek Minta is Head of Operations and Engineering at Zumpak.
Thank you very much, Fafa. This is Eyewitness News coming to you live from our studios here in Accra. Your messages are still welcome. Send them to 0539 986 996. 0539 986 996. Let's talk football in the World Cup. Just a while ago, DR Congo, everybody was supporting them, including the entire African continent. But they lost against the Three Lions of England. The expectation was that they were going to qualify for the first time to the round of the round of 16 in the World Cup. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. Bernard Abeku is here. But what went wrong? First time they were leading. I think by 7 minutes they were in.
In real sense, England didn't really play anything. You know that we expected. For example, in the Ghana game, so I felt the DR Congo players had control over the game, but it was not that. I mean, they made some few changes, England, and introduced fresh limbs into the game. And I think that took the steam off what DR Congo had wanted to do. And look, England is not the England we all assume they are, respectfully, because it was Hurricanes, I feel, brilliant, because if you look at where he scored the second goal, the winner, for example, that's a striker's goal, because he didn't even have a glance at the post, for example, but in his mind, he knows where the ball is. So the moment he went into the box a little, the D gives you the full, size of the pole. So the moment he went into the penalty area a little, he just imagined where the ball is and then struck the ball. He had his body halfway into the space and then shot it. For DR Congo, I feel there was nothing to lose. Getting to the next stage would have been glorious. So very, very much appreciated.
They played well. They have a very good team.
Yeah, they played well, and the goalkeeper Mpasi was excellent in the first half. Did 3 powerful saves. But I would say it's just unfortunate. They didn't really calculate it well. If you watch how Hurricane scored, they allowed him the freedom. I think they forgot it was Hurricane, and any good striker knows movement. So he gauges the defenders and read how the organization is, and then take them off guard. And I feel that's what Ken did. Didn't drop too deep like he dropped against Ghana, but just checked over his shoulder when Gordon was introduced, watched Gordon's movement, in that space, and then utilized the passing, in the third half of the pitch, and then capitalized on it. They're going to meet Mexico. It's a bigger picture for England, especially at that famous arena, Estadio Azteca, where Diego Maradona has won the World Cup at. And it's a tall order, and they would have to play above themselves. They would have to. If you pay too much respect because of the history that the game holds, it's going to take you off guard.
And you think DR Congo scored too early? Because I've heard people say that if you play a game and you score very early, it puts pressure on you. When you have to defend or make an attempt to score additional goals, so it puts some level of pressure on you.
I feel they were brave. I feel the DR Congo were brave from the onset. They just I think they were on holiday at a point in time in the game and allowed England a bit of space because they were controlling the game. They had their foot on the accelerator and had chances in the area. I feel Wester's chance, he should have just killed that ball a little, and that was 2-0. So even when they led, they had control over the game and they were playing at their own pace, not giving or paying too much attention or giving too much respect to the English, or the England boys. I have a feel they just didn't see. Football is about moments and chances. When that moment came and they had the chance, they should have capitalized on that and then gone in stronger and then led by 2-0. Should England come back, it's 2-1. Should Kane had his 2 goals still, that was 2-2. It takes you to the next phase of the competition. This tournament football, and at this stage, you are kicked out if you are beaten. There's nothing like I have 3 points. No. You just take
you past that stage.
And
so the African countries keep dropping.
They keep dropping,
and it's a worry.
Sadly,
it's a worry. Is there hope? For the rest of the teams,
there's hope. We have the African champions playing Belgium later at 8 p.m. There's hope. Before we go into the round of 32, it was Tunisia that went out. Then 3 are out now. There's Ivory Coast, there's South Africa, and now DR Congo. Senegal is playing next. I just pray they don't get knocked out of the competition. We're 10 that got to the competition, so now 4 out.
6 left
to 6. We have to just take our chance. Yeah, we have to take our chance. We have a lot of slots. If you compare us to the guys in Europe, there's a lot of slots available for us. We should make an impact. Yeah.
Abe, thank you very much. Bernard Abe, with our sports Dex here, giving us an update on the match between England and DR Congo. It ended 2-1 in favor of England. England qualified to the round of 16. DR Congo joins I think 2 other African countries who have left the tournament in the group in the round of 32. This is Eyewitness News coming to you live from our studios here in Accra. We'll go for a quick break. When we come back, we'll do City Business News.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Looking for engineering excellence you can trust? Welcome to Left Signature Limited, driving progress through technology and engineering excellence. From expert electrical engineering design, installation, power systems, renewable energy, automation and control, to reliable data center and managed services, power infrastructure, network connectivity, server virtualization, cloud integration and data security, and cutting-edge software development, custom business applications, web and mobile apps, cloud and DevOps solutions. Integrity, safety, accountability, teamwork. That's the Left Signature promise. And now, introducing the Left Power app. Request for our services anytime, anywhere. Available on the Play Store, App Store, and on the web. Ready to power your success? Choose Left Signature Limited. Visit www.leftsignature.com. Call +233 256 111 811. Left Signature Limited. Engineering excellence for a connected future.
Everybody they sell, but your shop they empty.
Where's my report?
Bro, month no end here too. But see, your pocket stop they take. Another emergency for the house?
Come and get ideas. Ideas go kill them.
Another idea, another mark time. No capital to start. For some people, this silence no be peaceful. It be money matter.
With bills, there's no need for silence. From my emergency loans to salary loans to working capital loans and startup loans, Bills has you covered.
Apply with your Ghana card today. Call 0596 920 833 or 0302 200 390. Bills, financing your needs. T's and C's apply.
drive more and more. Petrosol is giving back. Whether you are a driver or rider, your loyalty just hit the jackpot. For car owners, just buy fuel and accumulate to a total of 2,000 Ghana cedis and instantly get free fuel worth 50 Ghana cedis or branded souvenirs such as tissue boxes, car dusters, and other amazing prizes. And to our riders, just buy fuel and accumulate to a total of 500 Ghana cedis and instantly get free fuel worth 30 Ghana cedis or branded souvenirs such as tissue boxes, car dusters, and other amazing prizes. Umpewe, now per day, fully, not driving star. Remember, it's all tracked in our customer database. Just fuel and win from 15 May to 31st August 2026. Petrosol, energizing dreams. Remember, terms and conditions apply.
When I say ABSA, you say yes. ABSA Banking T, we go say yes. This 2026 till your jobs but dropping down. Yes, you listening to me right now. I know you get dreams. A work is here. And they work it well. Like me, I want to buy that Porsche car I've been dreaming of. I move into my dream house. No landlord will send me a bill. Join the ABSA family and let's help you say yes to your dreams with tailored banking solutions from loans, mortgages, credit cards to digital banking and more. Make 2026 the year of yes with ABSA. Your story matters.
HR is evolving. Are you ready? Join industry leaders, HR professionals, and business executives at HR Connect Conference 2026 for powerful conversations on transforming HR into a true driver of business growth and competitive advantage in Africa. The theme: from certification to competence, why elevating HR is critical for business growth and competitive advantage in Africa. The date, 30th and 31st of July 2026 at the Labadi Beach Hotel at 9 a.m. daily. Tickets are going for 2,000 Ghana cedis only. HR Connect Conference 2026. Connect, learn, lead, and transform.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
You're welcome back. This is Eyewitness News coming to you live from our studios here in Accra. Eyewitness News is also live on our affiliates across the country. You can still join the conversation with your WhatsApp messages because at the end of the show, we'll bring you Talk Back, where we bring you the views and opinions you express on the stories we bring you tonight or we brought you tonight on Eyewitness News. Still send your WhatsApp messages to the number 0539 986 996. 0539 986 996. Nashika Caesar is here with the latest in business. Hi now.
Hello, Sammy.
What's in business?
Well, the Ghana reference rate has climbed to 10.59% in July. It's moved from the 10.02 that was recorded the previous month. That's what this simply means is that businesses and households might have to pay more on the interest on loans.
All right. Give us the details.
Right. The Ghana reference rate has increased to 10.9% for July 2026, according to the Ghana Association of Banks, reversing months of sustained declines and signaling a potential shift in lending conditions across the banking sector. The new rate, which takes effect from July 1, 2026, rises from 10.02% recorded in June 2026. Here's more.
The latest increase suggests a moderation in the pace of improvement in Ghana's interest rate environment and could influence how quickly banks adjust lending rates for businesses and households. Although the rise interrupts the recent downward trajectory, the benchmark remains significantly below levels recorded earlier in the year. The reference rate had fallen from 14.58% in February to 11.71% in March, 10.06% in April, and 10.03% in May, before also declining to 10.02% in June, reflecting improving macroeconomic conditions, including exchange rate stability and softer money market conditions. For some analysts, they say the July uptick may not immediately translate into higher lending rate, but could slow expectation of rapid credit easing as banks continue to account for funding costs, credit risk, and prevailing market conditions.
For businesses, the latest Ghana reference rate reading signals that while financing conditions remain relatively improved compared to the start of the year, the path towards cheaper credit may not be entirely linear.
Emmanuel Opong filed that business desk report. Moving on, Ghana's inflation rate has surged from the third consecutive month, rising to 5.3% in June from 3.7% in May, according to the latest figures from the Ghana Statistical Service. The increase points to a renewed rise in consumer prices after months of relatively low inflation. Government statistician Dr. Al-Hassan Idrisu said food inflation increased to 3.9% from June from 3.3% in May, while non-food inflation climbed to 6.3% from 4.1%, making it the main driver of the overall increase. Here's Dr. Al-Hassan Idrisu with a breakdown of the latest inflation figures.
Inflation increased to 5.3% in June 2026, up from 3.7% in May. However, this should be understood in context. Inflation remains far below the 13.7% recorded a year ago, meaning that the country is still operating in a much lower inflation environment than in June 2025. Second, monthly price pressures stayed modest. Consumer prices increased by 0.2% between May and June. This tells us that although the annual rate rose, the actual price increases within the month was relatively small. In simple terms, the yearly number went up, but monthly pace cooled. Third, food inflation rose, but it was not the main driver. Food inflation rose from 3.3% to 3.9%, contributing 31.5% of headline inflation.
Dr. Al-Hassan Idrisu is government statistician. Moving on, consumers of petroleum products are set to enjoy lower fuel costs as oil marketing companies begin reducing ex-pump prices for the first pricing window of this month. This is in line with industry expectations, and we have more.
State-owned GOIL is among the first OMCs to implement the reductions, cutting the price of petrol to 12 cedis 79 pesos per litre, down from 13 cedis 87 pesos per litre during the second pricing window of June. The company has also reduced the price of diesel to 15 cedis 35 pesos per litre from 15 cedis 95 pesos per litre in the previous pricing window. The latest adjustment followed declining international oil prices, the appreciation of the Ghana cedi against the US dollar, and a downward revision of the National Petroleum Authority's indicative price floors for the July pricing window. More OMCs are expected to announce price reductions as the first pricing window of July progresses, offering further relief to consumers and businesses facing high transport and operating costs.
That was a Business Desk report. Now, Enterprise Group is projecting strong growth in 2026, citing Ghana's improving economic outlook as a major boost to its business. Speaking at the company's 16th annual general meeting in Accra, the group CEO, Daniel Labi-Teiku, said easing inflation, a more stable cedi, and improving fiscal discipline are creating a favorable environment for growth. He stressed the company's successes chalked in the previous year.
Our total assets increased by 22% to a little over 4 billion Ghana cedis in 2025. And this was driven largely by a significant improvement in our debt securities. As an insurance company, we collect premiums with the promise that in the event of any occurrence, we would honor and pay claims. So these amounts are held in investments so that we are able to pay the claims when they fall due. And so these investments are what drove the significant uplift in our total assets.
You had the Group CEO of Enterprise Group, Daniel Labiteku, speaking there. Now, more than 200 market shares have been destroyed, with traders counting losses running into billions of cedis after Monday's torrential rains and a fire outbreak devastated the Odona plastics market. The disaster, which triggered severe flooding across parts of Accra, submerged shops, homes, and key trading routes, disrupting business activities and leaving many livelihoods in jeopardy. We have more in the following report.
This is Adabraka, the plastic market, which is a few meters away from the Odo River. And it's very devastating over here. Although the floodwaters have receded, the fire has been extinguished, but remnants of several hundreds of shops and livelihoods were destroyed. Traders and business owners are now coming in to really assess the impact of the situation, with a lot of them counting losses, weeping, crying, and also asking how they're going to put themselves together and come back to business.
We have lost billions of cedis. We can't tell because we own some of the companies. Most of the companies that supply us the goods, we are owing them.
It's more than 50,000 Ghana cedis because this one, only this bag, because it's a Nigeria foodstuff. So to buy it and brought it here, one bag is like 10,000 Ghana cedis. A lot. And the worst part of it is that I borrow loan to go and buy. If I'm selling, I'll now return it small, but everything got spoiled. So I don't know. I'm begging government people to compensate us if they are able. We are begging.
This morning again, personnel from the Ghana Fire Service, officials from there, are back to the scene to assess the situation again. We're going to engage them about all that.
As of now, we have not recorded any casualty in as much as those things are concerned. But we realize that you could see that most of the properties here have damaged. Stores have been burnt, and like over 200 estimated shares are gone. And I think that going forward, when with the needed collaboration, some of these things can be curtailed on time.
That was the Director of Finance at the Ghana National Fire Service, DCFO, Mark Braku Jr., and in that report filed by Wahab Abdul Razak. And that's all for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News. We have more business-related stories on our website, citynewsroom.com. I'm Nashika Caesar, grateful for your company.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Ufie betumi adani baby a upebia. Betumi adani stadium. What a strike! Ana fa kwa yebu TV. Any computer game wo. Aha! Yeko. Atoda, betumi adani classroom.
Madam, me pacho menti ase.
Yo, yes am fasubio. Ni ewo he na wonti ase no.
Nini na.
Betumi adani office.
Aha, orders no ahina ye ready. Okay, mundi kan fanko Istidegon.
Betumi po, eswa ye fa kwa. Ye nhwehwemu wo.
Daddy, e dey na big bang theory.
Chain, mami busa chat GPT.
Ubetimi amofie adani baby a opese eyibia efise emfa ho ni ne opese oye wo fie MTN fiber betimi aboa amwoye nya 500 Mbps unlimited internet ani bo no form a free 299 Ghana cedis echo for MTN fiber bra fie ana wadwuma mu ede for my MTN app no so ana sebo *5057# but check fiber availability no so ana say number e wo gen no na say fiber broadband
MTN.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Welcome back. This is Eyewitness News coming to you live from our studios here in Accra, and it's time for Talk Back, where we bring you the views and opinions you've expressed on the stories we brought to you tonight on Eyewitness News. Let's start from Akumufie in the Eastern region, where Emil says the rains are here again, and we are paying lip service again. Like always, the tensions and the pain will go, and we will forget, and the cycle will continue. Condolences to their families that have lost loved ones, and may the good Lord help them in these difficult times. Another one from Jones Adoboy Inla says, I must admit that Henry Cote did some good job so far as a Greater Accra region was concerned. That doesn't take away the fact that they also badly mismanage every sector of our economy and enrich themselves with monies meant to solve the problems of Accra. He's just lamenting about Papaba, Jones Adoboy Inla. Henry Cote's proposal on the recent flooding in Accra are appreciated. However, after 8 years in government, the situation remains unchanged. As he now stands in opposition, what solutions can he offer that were not implemented before? While his ideas are welcome, it is essential to allow the current administration time to address the flooding issue effectively. This was Yoga from Abutia 30 Volta region. This one came without a name. It says, as a nation, we often focus on the causes of the challenges rather than pursuing the lasting solutions. As scripture reminds us in Jeremiah 10:21, leaders who fail to seek God lack true wisdom. May we all seek his guidance for lasting change. Baba Chairman in Tamale says, even though the call from Dr. Bawumia that we must not do politics with the floods in Accra, but many will find it extremely difficult accepting that the president today is a product of doing politics with a similar incident when he was in opposition. Kwesi in Teshi says, partisan politics is killing this nation. The two politicians were talking about the same issue or project, but the details were different. Oh, what a country. That's from Kwesi in Teshi. Chris from Ashaliboche says, flooding in Accra is largely self-inflicted. Poor sanitation, indiscriminate dumping of waste, building on waterways, and the filling of wetlands and natural drainage channels have all contributed significantly to the crisis. We are facing a difficult situation, and painful but necessary decisions must be taken to mitigate the problems. While Honorable Henry Cote has made commendable efforts, one important question remains: what has happened to the funds and dollars earmarked to address flooding in Accra? A lot of politicians are using state funds to address some of these problems into private enterprises, which will not be good for our country. The public deserves transparency and accountability to ensure these resources are used for their intended purposes. Chris Ashaliboche and Chris, I agree with you 100%. The lady in the studio has too many weak points in her delivery. Not too mature to handle a matter that borders on employment and employees' engagement. I'm hearing herself and my CEO in Kwa. I'm sure you're talking about the deputy CEO of the Ghana Digital Centers Limited. Francis says, a company who can't pay salary just 3 days of an incident is a company that is not doing well. Not a force majeure she's talking about. This is from Francis. Kobe in Wa says the teacher might have run away to Cote d'Ivoire because he's not from Boli. He could easily gone through Binfe, which is a village in the Boli district. I'm sure Kobe is talking about the Boli teacher who we are told by the Ghana Education Service that his salary has been suspended and that's legal processes may start in respect of the viral video in which he is seen in a video allegedly having an affair with a student. It is sad. This one came without a name. He said, it is sad that in 2028 we're still queued to vote for NPP and NDC. We deserve better. This country has gone through a lot, and it's about time our leaders do something about the situation. Mamiya from Tema says, fantastic ideas from Mr. Henry Cote. But what changed along the line? Is it that as a former minister, he doesn't communicate with officials of this administration to continue with the project he announced that his administration started or he personally started? What a country. Ni in Adabraka says, what an intervention for the Member of Parliament for the Odio. Indeed, it is right to set the record straight. It was interesting listening to Henry Cote after a long while. Where has he been so far? Well, as he mentioned in that interview, he said he's been in the United States of America and he intends to return home to do his politics. Remember, he's the campaign manager for Mr. Boakye Jaku, who wants to be the next national chairman of the New Patriotic Party, the MPP. Nana Intema says, interesting program, Sammy. I enjoy listening to Eyewitness News. But I have a question for Mr. Henry Korte. All the things that he said he did whilst he was in government, did they help solve the flooding situation in Accra? They need to record flooding incidents under his administration and that of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. He should give us a break. Politicians are always taking us for a ride. Messi in Achimota also says, enough of the talk. Enough is enough. We should deal with this situation once and for all. Ghanaians are dying, and as usual, we'll play politics with this issue. No lasting solution. And then when it rains again, we are still going to count people who have died. What a sad country. That's from Messi in Achimota. One here from Desmond in Antioch says, this is not the best. This government must announce a comprehensive measure in dealing with the flooding situation in this country. Enough of the talk. Mr. President, you were voted to find solutions to the many problems affecting this country. It's about time you set your priorities right and get to work. Is it that the president is not getting to work? Well, this is from Desmond with that message. It says, thumbs up to always, this one came without a name. It says, thumbs up to always engaging, updating us on what is happening in this country. It's about time we Ghanaians take the mantle into our own hands and ensure that what is done is supposed to be done. This flooding situation didn't start today, and I'm very sure that in the few weeks to come, we'll be back on radio to speak on the same matter. And this message came without a name. And this I wrap up today's edition of Eyewitness News. But before we go, thank you very much for sending your messages through. We encourage you to do so tomorrow when we come again. The number is 0539-986-996. And that's the Talk Back segment where we bring you the views and opinions you express on the stories we brought you tonight on Eyewitness News. My name is Sammy. We are official produced by Juliana Odame, Beverly London, Fejabano, and Kwabna Wilson with technical assistance from Desmond Nyako. So we'll come your way again tomorrow. May the good Lord be with us all.
City News. We speak first. Reach our hotline on 0302 224959 and get interactive on Facebook, City 97.3 FM, and on Twitter at City 973.